Greetings and welcome to another episode of You Revit Guy. Today we'll be talking about creating groups. That's what I'm talking about. Within groups, for Revit, we'll be talking about moving groups around, editing groups, making them different from each other, hiding parts of groups, annotating on top of the group with dimensions, tags, and text. And then finally, we'll break apart the group and make it individual objects again. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at it. In this Revit model, we'll be looking at creating groups. I have a full layout of spaces on this drawing. Each of these are actually the same exact size. That is not typical, but I'm going to show you the best case scenario for using groups at this time. All of these objects currently in this room space are separate elements of furniture and a few walls. Notice that this wall and this wall are separate from the other walls. That's going to be important as these green walls are going to be included in the group. Select all of those objects, look at the filtering tool. Notice that I have doors, furniture, some lines for the outline, planter, which is that tree, some walls, and window. Click OK to continue. Now that I have those selected, looking at the Modify tab, Create panel, choose the Groups option for Create Group. GP is the shortcut key for that. Creates a group of elements for easy reuse. Similar to a block in AutoCAD. Click that, it asks for a name. I'll call it Office-1. It has Open in Group Editor. I'll leave that closed unchecked for right now. Click OK. Now, when I click on this object, it is now joined together as one element, or a group. That is the beauty of using groups. It joins things together that are not normally joined together with an object to help them from separating and also to easily access them in different locations. Now that I have this group element created, I'm going to select the object. Notice that it says in Properties Model Group, Office-1, all selected as one object. In the Modify Model Groups tab, I have a Groups panel with options for Edit Group, Ungroup, or Link. Right now I'm going to select these and use a modifier tool as Mirror, and I will translate those all the way across this floor plan to every space. Now with a group created in each room space, they are all currently the same object. Watch what happens when I select one of the elements as a group, go to the Modify tab and choose Edit Group. This opens the Group Editor location. The only difference is that you see it has a lighter yellowish background. The tab shows up that says Edit Group as a floating dialog box, and all of the content in this one group is now selectable and highlighted. Everything else is grayed out. From this dialog box, I can choose to add more objects to the group, remove any objects from the group, attach a detailed group element, finish the group changes, or cancel the group changes. Right now, I'm going to select these chairs, move them over slightly, select this window, make it a little bit smaller, and select this wall and move it out here, closer to alignment with the chair. So a few small changes that I've made here. I'm going to zoom out slightly, pay attention to all of the other groups in this scene when I click this green check mark to finish. All of the groups immediately updated to the changes that I made to that one object. This is the power of groups, allowing you to affect multiple locations at the same time, provided those elements have been turned into groups before. This is a very widely used tool in the industry, especially for areas that are repetitive or of similar design. I've used this personally in elements such as schools, hospitals, elevator lobbies, anything that would be very consistent in a number of room spaces or from a floor-to-floor standpoint. Selecting this object here, look at the Properties menu, and you see where it says Model Group Office-1. I will click Edit Type, and you have a few options in here, but nothing that's really going to help me at this time. All I'm going to do is choose the Duplicate option and make a new group version that says Office-2. Click OK. Selecting that same group that says Office-2, choose Edit Group. Now I'm going to make some larger changes. I'm going to delete this tree. I'm going to add a component of a sofa, delete this wall, move it back in a little bit, rotate these chairs, and add another one in between. Rotate this desk set, move it against this corner of the wall, rotate this desk set as a mirror opposite. So some wide changes that were made to that layout of the group. Click the green check mark to finish, and you'll notice that none of the other groups have modified to that design. Because I duplicated this type, it is now Office-2. These groups are Office-1. But I now have an option in the Properties drop-down list where I have Office-1, and I can change it to that design in any of these locations. Giving you this ability, you can make unlimited amounts of different versions of the same group. In each location, it could be changed. There is such a point where you can get to too many options of the same group. It might make sense to make it a different group or go a different way, but this is very useful in a number of different scenarios. With, again, tens, dozens of different types of designs, you can affect each one of those as either room types or room layouts. These kind of groups could be set up in a template file that you use on future projects for different room styles and types. If you have those set up in a list or catalog of rooms, this could be very helpful. Also, as I hover over any of these existing groups, I can hover over an object and hit the Tab key once, selecting this tree for instance. There's a little symbol up here that says Group Member, click icon to exclude in this group instance. So that means if I left click and hit Escape to cancel out of the group selection, that tree has disappeared from that group. I didn't just hide it, I've excluded it from that group location. So that means that is not going to be part of a material count or a takeoff cost, or it's not going to show up in a schedule. That location of that element has been removed from the project. Notice that that same tree is still in all of the other office groups. Now I can come back and add an individual element that is not part of a group. Maybe there's a single office desk chair in this corner, and that only affects that one location. So if you can utilize groups and still have one-off elements, that is another good use for the group objects. Edit this group again, duplicate. Maybe I can say there's a 1B, which is the similar version of Office 1, but a slight modification. So I can edit that group and say, okay, I want this chair to focus in towards the desk, move it back a little bit, move this chair facing that way, repeat the same location on both sides. And that's all the changes I've made. Click the green check mark to finish, and that is just one more version of options. Change that to Office 1B, and the chairs have been rotated that way. Again, you can make minute changes, monumental changes. I could make another version. Office empty. Edit the group, remove all of the objects in the group, click finish, and they're empty. And I could use this as an empty blank canvas to add individual content, or if I decide I want to come back to it, I still have that option. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. The reason that this is helpful to still have as a group, again, is the ability to switch to different existing group styles, and the fact that the door, walls, layout is still present in that group. It still serves a purpose. Another option you have is to convert a group from an interior local group object to an external linked file. So choosing this singular office of Office 1, I'm going to choose the converts the selected group to a linked file. Click that option. It'll ask you if you want to replace it with a new project file or replace it with an existing project file. The new project file saves the group that I currently have selected as a new project and removes the group instance and its locations and replaces them with a linked file to the project. So make sure this is the right choice that you want to take, because it is not easily reversible. I'll choose new project. It's going to ask me where I want to place that. Locate it on the desktop here. And it is going to save it as a project RVT file. Okay. Now that I've done so, when I click on this office, notice that it changes to a RVT linked, and this is now a Revit linked. All of the other offices are still here as a grouped element. This one alone has been changed to a Revit linked file. So a good use for the linked file version of groups is there could be some user working on the main bones and scaffolding and skeleton of the building. Someone else could be responsible for the layout or fit out of each individual room space. You could create multiple different room types and then load those into your projects as linked elements. Therefore, you could have separation of responsibility. You could have multiple people working in different locations, not on the same server or network location. You can have them as consultants that are working outside of the company. This provides a lot of extra flexibility that you cannot have using Revit with a live network server access requirement, unless you're using something like Autodesk BIM 360. With this linked file, it is now included as a Revit link, shown here, office1.rbt. Nope, sorry, group office1.rbt. It is loaded, it's listed as an underlay, the saved location would be there, and I can reload it, I can remove it, I can modify it to any degree that I wish. The only difference is that these other offices are now groups, and I can replace them with the one I just added. So I can click on this one and choose link again, and I can say, instead of replace with new project, I can replace it with an existing project file, and I choose that group office that I just created, and it replaces it with that one. Again, it removes the opportunity to be able to change it to a different type once you do so, but it's yet another amount of flexibility that you have in the tools. Going to another project, I have a layout here of multiple floor rooms of a hotel. Going into this hotel building, I'm on the second floor, selecting all of the objects in this one room. Make sure I filter out anything I don't want selected, including the demising wall. Click the filter tool. I have all of these objects selected. I'm going to turn those into a group as well. Click OK to continue. It's going to ask me to name this. I'll call it guest room 1. And notice there's another option that says attach detail group. This will be important as well. I'm going to label this the same, guest room 1, and click OK. Notice that the room tag is not part of the group because it told me that it was excluding it, which is fine, that's correct. And all of this object is a group, guest room -1. I'm going to continue to replicate this group element across the floor plan here. Notice how the doors on the balcony and the front entry door are automatically cutting the walls that they're intersecting with. That is important and helpful. And that whole floor is now laid out. And you'll notice that the tags that were in this first space did not translate to all of the other rooms. How can I fix that? Selecting at least one group, go to the Modify tab, and I now have a new option that says Attach Detail Groups. Click that option, and the only option here is guest room 1. This is a detailed group. When you add annotation into a group, the annotation can only exist in the view that it's been added into, just like other default annotation. Because of the way that groups and annotation work in Revit, it doesn't create a group of the annotation included. It creates a separate sub-category called a Annotate group. The main group that we've been talking about so far is called a model group. It can only hold model content. The detail group only can hold annotation, dimensions, tags, things like that. So they are separate, but they are connected. So I can select all of these other groups at the same time. They're labeled as model group categories, and then attach detail groups to each one of those all at once. It is using the appropriate tags for those objects. Each door has received a new door number. All of the tags are appropriate to that object. And if you change it in one location, it will affect everywhere. Now that I have all of these rooms laid out across this floor plan, I have levels 3 through 8 that are all the exact same size and have not been populated with room information. Because I have these rooms grouped and all of the floors above are exactly identical on a vertical height basis, I can very easily copy and paste these from a floor-to-floor standpoint. Then all of the floors in every room will include the same group object, so that if I change something once, it will affect the entire layout of the rooms in the building. Make sure I don't select anything unexpected. In fact, I actually only want model groups. Go to the Modify tab, Clipboard panel, and choose Copy to Clipboard. Control-C is the same tool. And then you have a Paste drop-down list where I'm going to choose Paste Align to Selected Levels. And then choose levels 3 through 8. It will think for a second. and then that will have transferred a copy of all of those members to each floor, where now floor 3 is laid out with the exact same conditions. Floor 6 is laid out as well. As long as everything is consistent, it's very easy to use the groups in this manner. When they are different, you will have to adjust the groups so that it doesn't incorporate the entire space. There could be extension of walls that go beyond the group's available length or extent, but you can still incorporate groups in that method. So I'm on floor 6, room 606 here. What if this room is slightly different? Again, I'm going to select to edit the type, duplicate that room, and I'll call it room 2. Select that group and choose edit group. Instead of a queen bed, 2 queen beds, what if there's 1 king bed? So I'll move this towards the center, use the properties drop down list, change this bed type to king, and immediately it changes that design. And maybe in this space there are 2 of this chair. Use the space bar to rotate that, and again click the green check mark to finish. So now I have a new style, and if I select all of those groups, model groups, attach detail group, and now each one of those rooms has been filtered with the same amount of annotated information. You will need to go to each floor plan, each view, and include the detail group separate. Again, because it's annotation, it only shows up in the one view where they're at. I would highly stress that if you are going to populate all floors in your building with the same multiple grouped layouts, make sure that you spend extra time verifying that the groups are as accurate as possible, because after you have copied these to multiple floors, it's going to exponentially take time to fix any errors that were made beforehand. So if you can catch those errors and make everything as correct as possible first, that will save a lot of time. Lastly, an option that you have is to select the group and choose ungroup. That removes it as being a grouped object, giving you the ability to independently make changes that will not affect the other groups. This is no longer a grouped element, so you would only use this in a one-off situation most likely. Maybe this is a single twin bed inside of an empty room, maybe the cheapest room in the hotel. But you can have as many of those different options as you want. They could remain as groups, or you could ungroup them. It does not affect the Revit model in any way as far as size or connection goes. The one caveat I will share is that any wall-hosted items that are attached to objects not in the group as walls, if there are walls that are not attached in the group is what I'm saying, the wall-hosted items cannot exist in the group because the wall is not part of the group. Such as this demising a wall was not part of the groups that I created. If there was a wall-hosted object on this wall, it could not be included in the group because it would cause errors owing to the fact that the wall is not part of that group, so therefore the wall didn't exist where the object is located in the group. Wall-hosted object cannot exist without the walls they're attached to. This wall in the lavatory or restroom is included in the group, and you could have wall-hosted objects attached to that wall. I've worked with different companies, and I've used this myself, where you can either place a small fake wall at a very minuscule amount of thickness in the group just to represent a location of the wall. You can attach something to it, or you can create a family that is a non-hosted element. This comes into play mostly on wall-hung cabinets. If you are placing a wall-hung cabinet in a group and it is part of a wall that is not part of that group, it can cause issues, and you can either, again, treat it as a non-hosted family, or you can add a minuscule portion of a wall so you can attach to it. Both of those options include a little bit of extra work, because wall-hosted items are, by design, not unhostable, and you have to either recreate the family or find a location to download a resource that is a non-hosted element. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that little excerpt from the Revit software on working with groups. I hope that was informative for you and worth reviewing. Please join us again on our next session where we talk more about Revit content. See you next time. Check out our previous videos below. Comment below and tell us more information you'd like to see covered in the Revit software.